everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here for another A View from Tracy's Point shorts. And in this video, I have several little short stories that I want to talk about. There are a couple of videos that I came across on social media that really has me concerned about society as a whole. And then I was going to talk a little bit about tennis, because you guys know the Australian Open is here, and this is the first major of the year, and I believe the first tournament that Serena Williams has played in since that debacle at the US Open. Then Wendy Williams put out a statement today about her lack of return to her show. You guys know I did a video, I think it was last week or earlier this week, where I'm like, well, it was earlier this week, because Wendy was supposed to come back on the 7th, then she was supposed to come back on the 14th, then she was supposed to come back on the 21st. Now we don't know when Wendy is coming back, so I'm going to talk about that and read that statement, and then give you guys the latest on the whole R. Kelly saga. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is when I logged on to Facebook this morning, a friend of mine had made a post where she was talking about an incident that happened in Memphis, Tennessee, and evidently a 5-year-old was abducted from her elementary school, and she was abducted by some kids and some parents or something that were trying to get her older sibling to get their attention. And so they beat the little 5-year-old girl up, and then they did eventually get the older sibling, and then I guess they assaulted the older sibling. And the story was so crazy, right? Because there was supposed to be a video that was also on Facebook, but the person that was telling what, allegedly happened in the video said she wasn't going to share the video because it was just so graphic and horrible. So someone posted a link to a news story in the comments, and so I clicked on the news story to see what was going on. And it went to, a 404 error page. That's where, the content has been taken down, or the link is bad on a website. So I did a Google search, and there were several news outlets that had reported on this video and what happened with these two girls and the adults that were involved. But on every link, I probably found it on 10 different channels, but on every link, the link had been removed. The story had been taken down. And I can understand, if there were some rights issues to the video, if the police said, we need this video for evidence. But for the entire news coverage of this story to have just disappeared on the internet, I thought was just crazy. So if anyone is aware of what happened with this story, and I'm going to try and look for it again later on to see if I can find any more information, but evidently it was a 5-year-old and I believe an 8-year-old who were abducted by these people. The kids were forced to fight or do whatever, and that there was an adult that was egging it on and instigating, and it happened in Memphis. So if you know anything about it, please leave it in the comments for me so I can find out, was this a real story? Was it a hoax? What really happened with this story? Now, this next story I do have the video for. So basically, this happened in Woodbine Park in Sacramento, California. It appears to have been a couple of ladies at a park with their kids, and this guy, who I'm thinking must have been on drugs or something, approaches them, and he actually tries to kiss one of the women. Then he has a gun. I don't know if it was a real gun or a fake gun, but he then puts the gun on the table. Anyway, you guys watch this video and just, I was in shock. I'm still in shock.
It's time to go.
Well, hey, excuse me. I'm gonna say it like this: our kids is around, and you're making a scene in front of one of them. I'm not. You say you don't want to be disrespectful, but come on now. You're at a park right now. You see all our kids is here. Okay, so you can you
do what?
Take it that way?
I can do what?
Can you take it that way? Cause yeah, we trying to keep it respectful, right? Me, I'm a God-honest woman. So if you believe in the Lord, you respect the children that is around you.
I respect anybody over here.
Wait, back up. Dude,
Bro, what the fuck out, bro?
Tell whoever.
You need to go.
Hey, everybody.
No, you need to go.
Y'all saw that shit, right?
You need to go.
Everything I left. Y'all saw that
Can
shit.
you go?
On everything I left.
Can you go?
Watch out, bro. I try to be nice.
Can you leave?
I'll show the fuck will in about 2 seconds.
No, like right now. Can you leave like right now?
I could do it. My right-handed guy.
Bro, if I had to pepper spray you, it's gonna be a problem.
Please don't do that.
Can you leave?
God, bro.
You just insulted my friend. Can you
Now,
leave?
when I say what I'm gonna say,
I don't want to hear
I
what you
hope
got
she
to
recording
say.
this.
I don't
I
want
hope
to
she
hear
the smartest person in
you
the
got to
world.
say.
I hope
Can
she's
you
the
go?
smartest person in the world.
Can you go?
Hello, thank you, everybody. It was
Can
me.
you go?
It's me, nigga.
Can you leave, please? Let's go.
Facebook.
Somebody call the
Look on
police.
Facebook.
Go over there, mama.
Look on
Go over
Facebook.
there.
Look on Facebook.
Can you
Live.
go?
Look on
Hey,
Facebook.
go grab
Let's
that.
go.
Go grab
Look
that.
on Facebook.
I'm not going to put my fingerprints in some
Gloria,
where that
my ID in my pocket.
Where's that
That's the smartest answer in the world.
This
I
man
can't
just
trick
talked to me
nobody.
after park, trying to
I
grab
can't
on me
trick
and stuff
nobody.
like that, and I'm serious as fuck right now. I'm serious as fuck.
Oh, you too. It's a lot of them. It's
Where's
a lot
that?
of them.
Where's that? Call
Hey,
that
you.
right now. Call
You
that
are the winner. You the winner.
Hey, this your drink?
She ain't worried about shit, nigga. Hey, here.
I don't want that.
Take it.
I don't want that.
Pick it up and tell the world what it is.
Hey,
Tell the
yo.
world what it is,
Niggas
bro.
is
You gotta tell the world what it is. Tell the world what it is. Tell the world what it is, y'all. I got chains on my neck.
I'm not finna play.
Wrong for us.
Now, not only was this crazy as hell, but I have tried to call my daughter all day because she lives in Sacramento and to tell her, don't be going to Woodbine Park because obviously people are crazy over there. I looked for a follow-up to see if the police were called, if the police ever arrived. As you notice, one lady in the video keeps saying that she has pepper spray. I don't know why she didn't spray him with the pepper spray, but this whole ordeal was just crazy that this man, like, I don't even think I would have stayed there and carried on this yes, my crazy butt would have stood there and carried on this conversation with him. I can't even tell that lie. But I just thought it was crazy. Like, nobody seemed to have left to go and get help. They were recording it, but I didn't hear anyone calling 911 looking for help. So guys, let me know what you thought about this story. So in this third story, this happened at a school, and I do know that the employees that are involved, they were fired. Not sure if they've been arrested. The grandmother was on the news, and she says that the incident happened a few weeks ago, but it just hit social media this week. But it's of a little girl who, actually all the kids in this video look like they might be on drugs or some cough syrup or something because none of them are really reacting, or maybe it's a school for special needs kids. Not sure, but just check out how this school teacher and whoever is recording the video seems to have a Jamaican accent. So I think she was let go also and is under investigation. But just check this out.
Stop.
Stand up. She's for real. Make it mad.
Bro, you got me fucking serious.
Olivia, what are you doing on the floor?
She ugly too.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Eat your food.
Now, if that was your child, like, would you not be down to that school demanding that somebody get arrested? Like, I thought the grandmother on the news was just a little too calm about the situation. And I know, like, I guess they don't make daycares like they used to, because I know when my kids were in daycare, they went to a place called Immaculate Conception. It was excellent. Like, our kid, like my cousins who have older kids that are like my kids' generation, so like their kids are in their 40s. My sisters and our kids are in our 20s, 30s, and 40s. So this is how long this school was in operation. And it was run by the Catholic diocese, but all the teachers, you know, they were black. It was a school for black kids. You would never, ever see anything like that happening at an Immaculate Conception. So it's like, where are these people coming from that are abusing these kids and treating these kids this way? Or is it just so overwhelming because of social media and this type of stuff has been going on all along? But I'm just thinking, I would be at the police department every day if that had been my child. Like, these people would not just have lost their jobs. They would be in jail behind what they did to this little girl. So the fourth story I want to cover, I was watching a video the other night by, oh my God, what was this guy's name? It was something like King James UK or something like that. And so it was a live video, and when I clicked on it, it was this guy, you know, sitting on the throne like he was the king. I think he must be like a popular YouTuber, or it's a spinoff of another popular YouTuber. I had never seen the guy before. It came up in my recommendations. But he was playing like a Facebook Live video, and there was a lady, it was an African-American lady, and she was boohoo crying and sobbing, and she was telling a story about a pastor at a church and that he was molesting somebody, and she was just crying and crying. You couldn't really, like, I came in on the middle of the conversation, but she was letting people know that there was going to be a protest at the church on Sunday because they needed to get this pastor out of the church and get him arrested. So I guess they had to protest. Police got a hold of this video. They ended up arresting the pastor. So the guy's name was Matthew Gibson, and the church his father is the pastor of this church, and it's called Progressive Baptist Church, and it's somewhere in Brooklyn, New York. And his wife died, and they had a son and a daughter, and I think the sister may have been, he wasn't given custody of these kids. Another family member was given custody of the kids, and I want to say it was his sister, and that must have been the woman that was on the video crying, because it was an adult woman. And so she was saying that when the Matthew Gibson guy was at the church and the kids went to this church, that the grandfather was supposed to be watching and, you know, monitoring his visits with the kids, but the grandfather, you know, would leave him alone with the kids, and then he would take the son and send the son off to do chores around the church, and then he was left alone with his daughter. And so he molested and raped the daughter and had been doing it for several years. So thank God she got that message out. You know, people believed her, because y'all want to say that black women aren't believed. People believed her. They got the police involved, and this man was arrested like the next day. And so I think they said his bond was really low, though. I thought it was like $10,000. So they're upset, you know, because the bond was so low on such a serious charge. But, you know, at least police did come. They did arrest him, and he is facing charges. Now let's move over. Let's leave the heavy stuff aside for a second and move on to tennis. Y'all, I love me some tennis. I'm so happy that the new tennis season has started back up. But, you know, they still with the shenanigans. If you guys follow tennis, or I'm sure you heard about the whole situation with Serena at the U.S. Open, where she just imploded. And I know a lot of y'all want to say that Serena was wronged and all of that. But I did a whole video explaining why Serena was not wrong, was not treated unfairly, and that she was dead wrong for the way that she acted. And so Serena's tried to lay low. There was like a huge publicity campaign over the past 3 months, kind of rebuilding her reputation. You know, just a lot of feel-good stories about her. And she was named, you know, the brand ambassador for several social campaigns. I know one had to do with breast cancer awareness. She has a clothing line, so that she was going around doing these pop-up shops with a clothing line. And then, you know, she has this hashtag, this mama, you know, where she's telling all these stories and day-to-day things about her daughter. You know, her daughter has her own Instagram. There's been a lot of focus on that. The daughter has a baby doll named Kwai Kwai or Kwai Kwai. And Kwai Kwai, we need to check on her and make sure she's not being abused, because that baby be going through some things. But Kwai Kwai now has an Instagram page, and so they've been like promoting that and just really trying to, you know, make us forget about the whole episode at the U.S. Open and to see her, you know, as this positive influence. And, you know, nobody fell out of love with Serena, I don't think, but there were some of us that were willing to stand up and call BS on the way that she was acting. And even though the USTA stood by the umpire, Carlos Remus, I think his name is, even though they stood behind him, you know, he kind of got pushed to the side. He's like one of the top chair umpires in tennis, but he was like not seen or heard from through the whole 3 months. They would put him, he would officiate tournaments, but he would be on the outer courts where the, you know, the unknown players were. We didn't see him in any tennis matches, calling any tennis matches of big name players. But I saw him for the first time last night. He officiated, I think, the match with Rafael Nadal. And then there was another umpire that got into some trouble at the U.S. Open. That was a part of a controversy. I saw him for the first time calling a match yesterday as well. So the things I wanted to talk about regarding the U.S. Open is that there's this black boy named, well, he's a man now. I think he's like 20, 21 now, but his name is Frances Tiafoe. And Frances Tiafoe is one of the top American players, and he also happens to be of Haitian and American descent. And right now, out of all the American male players on tour that were in the Australian Open, he is the only American male player left. Well, he had a match last night or early this morning, because, you know, Australia is about 17 hours ahead of us. So he had a match. In the beginning, they were kind of like going between his match and another match. And then he lost the first set, I think 7-6 in a tie break. And then after that, we did not see his match anymore. And so they were covering everybody else's match. And I'm sitting there saying, okay, why we can't get Tiafoe match back over here? Then they were interviewing players who had completed their matches. Then they was just sitting down talking, having commentary about the tournament. When I tell y'all, they never went back to that match. And it was like a 5-set match, which meant that it was a very competitive match. Never went back to the match. Got to the point where they wouldn't even show the score to the match. I think at one point when I finally went to bed, they were like, oh, Tiafoe's down 2-1, but he has a break and, you know, he's probably going to win the third set. That was the last time I heard anything about him. And so I got so frustrated that I just finally turned the TV off. And so I'm like, do you think that that's kind of like racist in a kind of way? Because I'm sure when them other white boys was out there playing, they had the camera on them. You know, the other young boy, Taylor Fitz, I saw his whole match the other day. The other guys lost, like the top American players all lost like in the first round. So here this boy is moved into the 4th round of the tournament, and he can't get no kind of love. And you know, I was on my Twitter tweeting about it, hashtagging US Open, putting the at ESPN, like, come on, we got to do better. And then they want to be quick to tell you, oh, well, you know, you can watch all the matches on the app. No, why should I have to get a tablet and watch a match when it's supposed to be covered on the television? And if you want to do commentary and interviews, do that on the app. When we're up at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, we're looking to watch matches. We're not looking to hear Chris Everett and all of them sitting around flapping their jaws about stuff that doesn't matter. And there was at one point where there was like a 30 to 45 minute break between one match and when the next match was supposed to start, and they still would not go and turn the cameras on to this match. And making it even crazier is that the person that he was playing is actually a top 10, you know, like he's ranked about in the 40s or something, but he was playing one of the ranked players. So not only did you take the shine off of Tiafoe, but you took it off the Seppi guy, who's a ranked player and should have had TV coverage of his match. So let me know what you think about that. So another thing that came up yesterday when I was watching, I think I was watching the tennis channel at this point. And so I guess there was an article that was put out. I wasn't able to find the article, but they had like a picture. And basically what they were saying was that they were, this article was saying that Serena and Venus Williams are to be credited for the number of, there's like 9 African-American tennis players that are like ranked 200 and lower. And so the article was giving credit to Venus and Serena. So we know that Venus and Serena have done a lot for tennis, but they were not the first black tennis players. There were several black tennis players before them. And so the commentators were making the argument that Venus and Serena have done a lot for tennis, but are they really responsible for the success of these up-and-coming players like your Frances Tiafoe, Sasha Vickery, Whitney Usagwe, Madison Keys, Sloane Stephens, all of these people that are, you know, on the rise, do they get full credit? And so I thought that was an interesting conversation that they were having, and just want to get your thoughts on it. Do you think that Venus and Serena should single-handedly get the kudos for black players that are now entering the higher ranks in tennis and that are doing good? Personally, like I said, I think they've done a lot for tennis, but I don't think we can single-handedly say that they are the result of these other kids coming up on the tennis circuit. And I know my daughter played tennis on the junior circuit, and there were quite a few. I remember there was this one center down in Miami that no matter where they played at in the state, they had like a busload of kids, or like vans where they would just transport all the kids, put them in the tournaments. And like, were they influenced by the Williams sisters? Probably. But those kids, I think Sasha Vickery was actually one of the kids from that group. Can we really say that they were instrumental in the success that these kids have received? And on that end, I would say no. And then I thought it was interesting when they were showing the pictures of all the black tennis players, they didn't show Naomi Osaka. So one of the announcers did say, okay, well, Naomi isn't in that picture. And, you know, there's that whole thing that Naomi's father is Haitian and her mother is Japanese. She's lived in America since she was like 3 years old, but she claims Japan because the American Tennis Association wouldn't get behind her because they didn't think she was going to be a good enough player. And so Japan had money to offer her, and so she claims Japan as her country. But she still tells the story that she was influenced, you know, by Serena Williams, and she wanted to grow up and be just like Serena. So to have someone that has been so vocal about Serena's influence on her life, and then they just left her out of the piece altogether, I thought was quite interesting. So if you are watching the Australian Open, or if you want to start watching it, because it started on Monday and here we are Friday, but here's the schedule. Naomi Osaka is playing now, and she lost the first set 7-5, well 5-7. And she's tied now in the second set, 4-4. So she needs to take this to a third set if she wants to win. Serena plays at 9 p.m. and that'll probably be on ESPN. Madison Keys plays at 10:30 p.m. That'll be on ESPN. Venus plays at 3 a.m. Again, that'll be on ESPN. Sloane Stephens probably won't play until about 4:30. I think she's in the last match of the night. And Frances Tiafoe also plays around 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I just want to give a shout out to, this girl is actually white, but she's from St. Pete. Her name is Danielle Collins. And she and my daughter are the same age. And so they played on the junior USTA circuit around the same time. And so I'm always rooting for Danielle. She won the women's NCAA Women's Championship 2 years in a row, I believe. And so now she's graduated from college, and she's a full-time professional tennis player, won like $100,000 award for up-and-coming players to help with their sponsorships and training and that type of thing. So rooting for Danielle. Okay, so today on social media, Wendy Williams released a statement, and this is what it says. Let me get this turned around for you guys so I can read it. So it says, a note from the Hunter family. As Wendy Williams Hunter previously shared, she fractured her shoulder and has been on the mend. Over the past few days, Wendy has experienced complications regarding her Graves' disease that will require treatment. Wendy will be under the strict supervision of her physicians, and as part of her care, there will be significant time spent in the hospital. Despite her strong desire to return, she is taking a necessary extended break from her show to focus on her personal and physical well-being. Wendy thanks everyone in advance for their well wishes and for respecting her and the Hunter family's privacy during this time. Statement from Debmar Mercury. So it says, for over 10 years, Wendy has been a vital part of the Debmar Mercury family. We wholeheartedly support Wendy in this decision to take the time she needs, and we will welcome her back with open arms the moment she is ready. The Wendy Williams Show will air repeat episodes the week of January 21st, and will produce original episodes with a variety of hosts starting the week of January 28th. Now, I ain't one to gossip, okay? But y'all ain't gonna tell me that this is about a fractured shoulder, okay? A shoulder that she fractured in early December. So what's really going on with Miss Wendy Williams? Like, is Wendy done had a drug relapse? Is she really in a drug rehab center? Like, what is really going on? And I'm a fan of Wendy's, but this thing just done went too far. All back to the Halloween costume when remember she was dressed like the Statue of Liberty and passed out on the stage. Like, Wendy has not been right for a very, 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 very long time. Okay, we going on like a year or two. And it seems like all of her problems started with the whole, when it was leaked, what, a year or two ago about the husband and the mistress. So, like, has this really, really affected Wendy more than we ever thought? Like, because remember, he was caught on video having sex with one of her assistants at one point. Do y'all remember that? It was about 10 years ago, and that was like a big scandal, and everybody was like, Lord, he ain't no good. But I don't know what's going on with Wendy. I am going to send my prayers to a speedy recovery. Hope that she gets back soon, but I don't know, guys. Something is seriously wrong with Wendy, whether they're going to tell us or not, whether it's mental, physical, I don't know, but something is seriously wrong. And I don't think it has anything to do with her Graves' disease or with a fractured shoulder. I'm trying to do this video and watch this tennis tournament. Okay, Naomi won the second set. So she lost the first set 5-7. She won the second set 6-4. They're in the third set, and she won the opening game, so she's up 1-love in the third set. Come on, Naomi. Oh, and I was going to point out that if Serena continues to win and Naomi continues to win, they would meet in the semifinals, so it wouldn't be a repeat of the U.S. Open where they're playing for the championship. They would meet in the semifinals, okay? Oh, and then Venus. So if Serena and Venus win tonight, both of their matches tonight, they, I think, will play in the next round. They'll meet up in the next round against each other, if I got that right. I believe that. I know they'll meet up way before the finals. So even if they both win tonight, one of them is going to be knocked out in the next round. Okay, now my favorite topic, Mr. R. Kelly. So what has been going on with the whole R. Kelly saga? Well, let's get into that. So the big news came out today that, well, it was reported the other day that RCA said that they were not going to drop R. Kelly, but they weren't going to release any new music by him until he had been cleared of all these allegations from the Lifetime docuseries, which was kind of stupid because they haven't released any R. Kelly music in almost 3 years. So I think the last album R. Kelly did was a Christmas CD back in 2016 that none of us knew about. So it's like, even though he released the album under RCA, they didn't promote it in any kind of way. So I don't know why, you know, they tried to act like they was doing something big by putting future projects on hold, because the CD that he just came out with on January 1st, he published himself. I admit, remember that long video that came out like in October where he was supposed to be responding to the critics? He produced that himself and released that on his own. RCA was not a part of that project. And I think he's had some other music since that Christmas album that he put out himself that they didn't have anything to do with it. So Sony announced today, Sony owns RCA. So RCA is one of several record labels that are under the Sony umbrella. So they met with R. Kelly and they have decided to, they've negotiated his exit. Okay, so that means that he done got paid. And so according to the New York Times, terms of Kelly's exit deal, including what, if anything, RCA paid him to terminate the contract, were not disclosed. He had been signed to Jive Records, now owned by Sony, in 1991. So he's been with them for quite some time, like almost 30 years, and had recently renewed his RCA contract a few years ago, according to two people with knowledge about the deal that went down today. And they said, according to the person briefed on Kelly's exit talks, RCA had been discussing it for months with R. Kelly and his legal terms. So it sounds to me like R. Kelly wanted out of the deal since they weren't backing him anyway. It was like, what's the point of staying? And all of this was before the Lifetime documentary, but after the hashtag Mute R. Kelly movement gained momentum. And then other sources say that Sony will maintain control of his back catalog, which should be interesting to me, because does that mean that they still would be making money off of his music? And then, you know, do they have the decision if they own the catalog or still have control of the catalog? Does that mean that they can pull his songs from streaming services or other outlets, preventing him from making money or even performing the songs in concerts? And then just the other day, you know, as I mentioned, RCA, you know, said that they were just going to hold back from releasing new music. But it seems to me like R. Kelly probably wanted out of the deal anyway, and that this was a good time to negotiate that exit strategy, because it seems like they didn't want to let him out of the contract for whatever reason, and now they have that out to do it. And then tonight at 10 o'clock, Dateline is airing a interview, or they're covering the whole Lifetime docuseries on their show tonight. And so there's a new accuser that, well, she's not new, but new to the whole story that we're hearing about now, who's coming forward, and her name is Tracy Sampson. And according to her, she met R. Kelly when she was 16 years old, and she was interning at Interscope Records. And so I'm sure the story was all chopped up in the article because it wasn't making any sense. But basically, she said when she met him, he asked her to give him a kiss. Like, I don't know how we got from meeting to, can I have some sugar? I don't know. But she said that she told him no, he couldn't kiss her. And then he said, well, can I at least get a hug? So she agreed to hug him. And when they were hugging, he began to kiss her. Then she goes on to say that, you know, she fell in love with him. So I was a little confused by how we got from, you know, A to B to Z. And she says that, you know, she was confused about how, you know, was his behavior, him asking for the kiss, then kissing her after she said no, the way that adults interact with each other, you know, when they're building a relationship. But in any event, she said that when she turned 18, she decided to sue him, and that they settled out of court for $250,000. but the article doesn't say if she settled with him, if she settled with Interscope, or did she settle with the both of them? Like, did she name everybody in her lawsuit? Also worth noting, R. Kelly started his own record label in 1998, and it was called Rockland Records, and the album that he produced for Sparkle was actually under that label, the Rockland label, but it was distributed by Interscope Records. And that the last album that he released under Rockland Records was in 2004, and that was his collaboration with Jay-Z called Unfinished Business. And although the label has been inactive since then, he still owns the imprint, and I guess it's still his record company, and he can bring it back to life at any time. And then also, when I was researching that, the movie, he did the soundtrack for the movie Life. Remember that with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence? And I guess he produced all the songs, and that was also released under this Rockland Records label. And then, what else happened? Oh, and then yesterday, I think it was, that the building inspectors went to the warehouse where his studio is held. And so they went in. There was a large police presence, but according to the Chicago Police Department, they always accompany the building inspectors, and so that was nothing new. And I guess there may have been additional police officers, you know, because of it being a high-profile case. And so they say that they found some infractions, because remember, they were going in because it was reported that he was living in the warehouse, that it was set up for the studio and residential living, but that area is zoned for warehouse, like not for a record studio or not for people to be living in. And so that's why they wanted to go in there. And the building itself is up for sale. The owner is in foreclosure. R. Kelly owes him, the number keeps changing, because on the night of the docuseries, he owed $80,000. Then last week he owed $166,000, and I think this week it's up to $178,000. But the owner of the building did get a order to evict him from the premises. And then I also read that they had him and the owner were negotiating him getting called up on the lease. So I'm not sure what's going on, but the building inspectors did not say what the infractions were that they found. So it could be that there were living quarters there. It could have been some with the electrical. The roof could have been leaking. We don't know. But they said that they're going to call for another hearing to address the matter. And at that time, people were reporting that R. Kelly he would find out what the infractions were at this hearing that he would have to go through. But I'm like, where do people get their information from? Because number one, he doesn't own the building, so he's not responsible for any code violations. So if there is another hearing, the hearing would be with the owner of the business, not R. Kelly. Oh, and then and then earlier in the morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning, the local Chicago TV station was staked out outside the building, because I guess they're trying to catch him coming and going from the building, but it doesn't seem like he's even using the building anymore, because there's been several videos of people like hanging out, stalking the building, trying to catch him, but I don't think he's been there like in weeks or since he was served with the eviction notice. I don't even know if he still has his equipment in there, because I would think if it's a studio, it's probably some very expensive equipment in there that he would want to get out. But anyway, according to this news station from Chicago, they were there staking out the building at like 5:30 in the morning, and a guy came out, and the guy was carrying some equipment, and they said that one of the things he was carrying out was a computer modem. I saw the guy put a box in the trunk of a car, not sure if there was a computer modem in there. But anyway, he didn't seem to be bothered that there was a big old news truck there. And he also didn't seem to be bothered by the fact that the reporter was there sticking the microphone in his face, trying to get him to answer questions. He kept loading the stuff into the trunk of the car and then eventually drove off. Then a follow-up to my last update, when police went to the condo at the Trump Tower, they have since said that, you know, they knocked on the door. He answered the door. He told them that they could come in. You know, he wasn't combative or resistant or anything, and said that he actually left the condo so that they could go in and talk to the people that were in the condo. And so they have verified that it was Jocelyn Savage and Azriel Clary that they spoke to, and that both women seem to be in good health. Said that they were happy. They're there, you know, on their own will, that they're not being held hostage or anything like that. And then the Azriel Clary girl, her parents, you know, they've come forward and they're saying that although they're happy with Lifetime for doing the docuseries, they're also disappointed that a lot of their story was edited out of the docuseries. And so they were quoted as saying, and I think this was on CNN, they were saying, you know, I love Lifetime for the platform they gave us to give awareness to bring this to an end. And that was the mother talking, and she said, but they have no clue how much we went through. They have no clue what I did to help my family. And so the mother and father, so his name is Angelo and her name is Alice. And so they spoke about their daughter with this guy named Jay Morrison. So he has a Facebook channel, and he's supposed to be like some real estate mogul and a motivational speaker. And so I tried to watch the full interview, but it was like 1 hour and 34 minutes long. It had like no format. They were just talking. The Clarys were like talking over each other. They was just jumping from subject to subject to subject. The Morrison guy, his wife, she seemed to be like the smartest person that was sitting on the panel. And then he kind of like got the show started where he was saying, you know, if it had been his daughter, he wouldn't stop at any end, you know, he'd go to jail and all this stuff. And so that kind of like got the Angelo guy kind of hyped up. And then one thing I thought was interesting was that throughout the time that they were talking, they kept saying about themselves, you know, that we're from the streets, you know, basically saying like we're not articulate, we're not going to present our case the way most people would want us to, but we're presenting it the best way that we can. And I'm going to play a little bit of that when I finish talking about what they went through. And so I can understand, just based on the way that they were conducting themselves in this interview, why Lifetime had to cut a lot of their stuff out, because they were basically trying to detail every day from the time Azriel met R. Kelly up until today. They were like trying to chronicle it, and they just was like jumping all over the place. And so the clip that I'm going to show you guys, I thought was, they were talking about the fact that Azriel had tried to commit suicide and how that led her to help some other people. So it was a touching story.
A real strict time. And
This is like less than a week after she
no, this ain't a week. We're talking Friday.
I'm saying less than a week after she just
tried to commit suicide. My people got
so Lifetime just missed out on this whole part. The fact that
they got it.
They cut it out.
They cut it out.
That's what I'm saying. They missed out on relaying this to the
Exactly,
world.
exactly, to all the world, so they can understand. So when my wife, they noticed they cut it real good when my wife said, oh, we was threatened. Like, our children, first of all, our oldest child is 29. We got 2 of them. They mine's, not by my wife. That's both 29. And my kids right now, and one doing 8 years right now, finishing up a prison sentence, 8 years. And right now, if you hear him call right now, and Dad, what? Who you talking to like that? Oh, no, I'm sorry, Dad. No, I was just hyped up. My kids had the utmost respect for me because I'm not a friend of theirs.
Which is a few days, 72 hours before she had committed attempted suicide.
And I mean, suicide so deep with us. It's crazy, and it's off of her. Because my daughter did awareness fundraising, cancer fundraising, where all her benefits for her show went to these organized programs. I mean, organizations and everything. I mean, she had a best friend in school that was a white kid that knew her. Couldn't believe she came, and just how much he talked about her.
Wow.
And because she took up for him because he used to get bullied. So she made him her best friend, And that's how they wound up doing. But he couldn't get over the bullying from school, and he killed himself. Young kid.
You know how he killed himself?
And how he hung himself in this room.
You know, I'm really shocked that Lifetime would leave this
we're
shocked part of the story out. And as we're talking about black women and black girls and their voices being erased, suicide, for one, is a huge, huge issue. And I'm so shocked. And I'm really like appalled. Like this whole chunk of the story was
the
left
main
out.
part of the story.
Right, because we see this is pure this is psychology 101. We see someone's already hurting, and then you meet someone and you think this is your shot. You think this is your way out.
So when people say why, why this is.
I want to say this because I told someone I was going to ask this. Is exactly what you're about to say. I posted last night that we're going to interview you guys today, and the response I got back from someone was, and excuse my language, I don't even use the N-word. Everybody know that I call us kings and queens. But somebody say, y'all niggas really milking this and doing the most. Please ask them, capitals, all capitals, why they sold their child and why TF, the you know what, was she able to land in the arms of a predator like R. Kelly in the first place, and why no charges have been filed. This was the response, which you've answered a lot of that. But I'm just saying, that's the level of what you were saying.
But what I took from them being on this Jay Morrison show is that they're more concerned about the way people are perceiving them, how people are talking about them in social media. And so I don't think that them being on Jay Morrison's show really helped their cause any, because I went and read some of the comments that people were leaving during the live stream, and they seem to be just as critical of them today as they have been since they came out with their story, which I think is really sad. And it lends to, and they even point this out in the video, that this is why people be quiet, why they don't come forward, is because, you know, the court of public opinion, you know, would really make you doubt yourself. Okay, guys, I went to download this video and realized that it had stopped recording. So since I had to come back and finish the part that was cut off, which was just a couple of paragraphs, I decided to go ahead and watch some tennis and then to watch the Dateline episode, so I can go ahead and throw that in and don't have to do another video. And so basically what happened, where I was cut off, is I was talking about the Clarys and how, you know, they seem to be more concerned about public opinion. But the people in the comments didn't seem swayed by them being on this show. And if you can tell from that clip that I included, you can kind of understand why they didn't convince any additional people. And then speaking of Jocelyn Savage, R. Kelly's former manager, a guy named James Mason, turned himself in on a warrant. You may have heard this story where Jocelyn's father has accused him of threatening him and trying to intimidate him not to do the docuseries that was on Lifetime. And so a judge back in July issued an arrest warrant for him. And so he turned himself in today. He was released on a $10,000 bond, and he did issue a statement. And in that statement, he says, my team and I will present facts soon that will discredit any and all accusations that suggest that I have engaged in any acts of bullying, harassment, or aggressive acts against my accusers. And to the contrary, we will show that I have been extremely instrumental in attempts to assist my accusers in their quest to reestablish a relationship with their adult daughter. He made sure that we know that she's an adult now. And he says, I have confidence in my legal team that I will be exonerated of any and all pending charges. And Charles from TMZ, he's the one with the dreads and the light-skinned guy that co-hosts with the I can't even think of his name, the guy that's over Harvey Levine. And so he was saying that he thinks what's ultimately going to happen is that they may never get R. Kelly on any of these sex charges, but they could possibly be trying to find something else that they can get him on and send him to jail. And he used the example of Al Capone, how he, was this big gangster and drug dealer, gun runner and all of this, but that's not what he went to prison for. He went to prison on tax evasion. And so he thinks the whole inspecting the building, constantly going to check on the women in the house, even though they keep saying that they're okay, and just different tactics that they're using are actually trying to get other information that they can charge him with another crime. That makes sense to me, except for you can't use evidence against somebody that you obtained. Like if you're there inspecting the building, they couldn't really take anything out of that building to use as evidence. And I don't think they could get a search warrant based on going into an apartment and doing something other than what they were actually there to do. But I could be wrong, because as I keep telling you guys, I don't have a law degree. I just watch a lot of Law and Order. But anyway, I watched the Dateline show, and the girl, the Tracy Sampson girl, I don't know. She was the one that I was telling you guys earlier. That's the new accuser. And I'm also thinking that, remember with the Chicago DA put out a call for extra victims, anyone else with a story to tell, to come and contact them. I'm thinking that this Tracy Sampson girl is one of the two women that contacted the Chicago Police Department. And I also think that she may be, remember in my last update video, I talked about Gloria Allred mentioning that she had another client, but the client wasn't there and she didn't want to talk about her, but she said that she met him when she was underage. So I'm thinking that the Tracy Sampson is also that same person, that this is one and the same person. What came out, other than what I already shared with you guys, was that she was hired by a female, and this female person introduced her to R. Kelly, took her to meet R. Kelly. When she went back and told her about him wanting to kiss her and wanting to meet with her on her own, that she says that the lady she was working for cursed her out, pretty much accused her of trying to come on to R. Kelly, and that she was fired. The Tracy girl was fired immediately. And so I didn't really understand how you were upset, went to your boss, said he did these things to you, but then after you were fired, you still ended up going. And she said they had a 1-year relationship, and she talked about, the way he treated her, and I guess he wasn't very nice to her. And then she said that whatever happened to cause them to stop seeing each other, she didn't want to be with him anymore. That's when she filed the lawsuit. And she said she was awarded the $250,000. She was told to sign a non-disclosure. And so, like I said, there were some holes in that story. Well, I wouldn't say holes, but there are things that probably were edited out that, we won't get to hear about unless there's a trial or something later on. And then also on the show, they had the Geronda girl on there again. They had the, what was her name? Javante Cunningham. She was on there. They had the Savages on there. So just pretty much rehashing what was said on the docuseries. The lady that was hosting the show, she was kind of like asking a little more questions, because, on the docuseries, they were just sitting there talking. Nobody was asking them questions. So she was actually asking questions to kind of move the show along. And then that annoying attorney was on there, the Steven Greenberg guy. And so I guess some of the things that we've been seeing of him in the news were actually clips from this show that came on tonight. And so, he was just basically, making his comments and stuff and denying everything. And I don't know, and then they talked about the fact that he was dropped from the record label. So the only new thing that came out of this Dateline show was the story about the Tracy Sampson girl. And like I said, her story was kind of jumping ahead. And so I couldn't really figure out what was going on there or why she was there. And then I watched the rest of Serena's match, and so she did win her match. And like, she beat the poor girl down. The girl was crying at the end. Serena went over and consoled her and told her, you know, she was a good player and that she has a bright future. I think she beat the little girl like 6-1, 6-1. And I want to say she was the girl she played. Was the girl that they interviewed who is like the youngest player in the Australian Open. And I think that's it. So I'm going for real this time. Leave your comments below, rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.